新西兰时间3月26号下午，应新西兰总理 Bill English 的邀请，中国国务院总理李克强乘专机抵达惠灵顿国际机场，开始对新西兰进行正式访问。时隔8年，两位总理再度握手，亲切会谈。新西兰总理 Bill English 宣布，新中两国拟于4月25号启动双边自贸协定升级谈判。
我们认为，通过加强自由贸易的往来，会有更多的磋商，会避免冲突，会有利于维护世界的和平，地区的稳定。
Bill English 说，在与李克强总理的会谈中，双方回顾了两国建交45年来所取得的成就，并为未来双边合作设定了议程。中新建交以来，两国关系取得跨越式发展。新西兰在发展对华关系方面始终走在西方发达国家前列，创造了中国同发达国家关系当中的多个第一。新西兰是第一个承认中国完全市场经济地位的国家，第一个与中国开展双边自贸协定谈判并达成协议的国家，还是第一个加入亚投行的西方发达国家，如今又成了首个与中国签署“一带一路”的西方发达国家。中新关系已经成为不同社会制度、不同大小国家互利合作的典范。
In the last few days, our Prime Minister Bill English has been very busy because the Chinese Premier Li Keqiang was visiting New Zealand for 4 days. I'm so honored that he chose to be here with us today. So let's welcome Mr. Bill English. As we all know that you've been meeting and hanging out with Premier Li in the last 4 days, just hanging around to do all the meetings and having dinner in your house. Premier Li's visit this time marks the 45th anniversary of the diplomatic relationship between China and New Zealand. And as he has mentioned, this visit broadened and strengthened the relationship between the two countries once again. And how would you comment? Like, what do you think? How has the relationship been improved over the 45 years?
I think there's a lot of trust has built up between the two countries and between the individuals. And at the lunch yesterday, he was impressed to see young Kiwis getting up speaking Mandarin fluently, and the Kapahaka group who sang a Chinese love song. Now, these are small things, but indicative of how the relationships has improved, because 10, 15 years ago, that wouldn't have happened.
Yes, and one thing I've noticed is the food as well. Even though the materials, the products are from New Zealand, and you've deliberately made it in the Chinese kind of way, so I find it's very interesting as well.
Well, it is, and look, it's a way that enriches our cuisine here in New Zealand, because that food, the way the food is presented over the last few days, I haven't seen before, and didn't know you could do that with New Zealand food.
Yes, and I have a question for you in the end about the food as well. And since the then Prime Minister John Key announced the launch of negotiation of an upgrade of the free trade agreement, we do expect Mr. Li's visit this time to have a boost of the FTA.
Yeah, that's certainly the case, and we're very pleased with that result from the visit. So now we're going to start negotiations. They're going to be fairly tough negotiations because we have some differences of view about how we want the FTA to improve.
So what is the biggest difficulty in this case? Would you be able to?
Well, look, the agricultural related issues are always the hardest ones, but New Zealand's used to that. And if it had been a real problem, we wouldn't have a free trade agreement with China at all. So there's a lot of goodwill and a lot of trust, and I'm sure we'll make progress.
The other thing you've mentioned in the meetings is the One Belt, One Road initiative. Would you like to talk more about this?
Well, this, as we know, is President Xi's initiative, substantial and long-term aspirations. So when we sign the agreement, we're acknowledging the Chinese government's policy, and we are hoping that it will provide an opportunity for New Zealand businesses to take part in the very extensive investment in roads and rail and infrastructure that the Chinese government is doing around the world.
Speaking of the infrastructures, this headline came up on my screen yesterday, just while I was doing the interview questions. It says this: "Don't expect One Belt, One Road to fix infrastructure. China's ambitious project to transform trade through better infrastructure is unlikely to be linked to major projects here in New Zealand.
Well, look, and I think that's the case. I don't think we are seeing Chinese participation in infrastructure here. We've got Chinese banks in New Zealand. They are helping to finance our infrastructure. Construction companies are welcome. There's so much to do here. But I don't think the Chinese government will be initiating infrastructure projects here.
Okay, so businesses will, but the government won't engage directly?
Well, we don't see that happening, but we do hope that New Zealand businesses, including Chinese businesses based here, have the opportunity to take part in Chinese government infrastructure projects.
As one of the Chinese mainstream media organizations in New Zealand, we have witnessed a strong relationship between the Chinese community and the local community. And you, as the Prime Minister, how would you evaluate the contribution of the Chinese community here?
Well, look, we hope that relationship continues to develop with the mainstream community. What I admire about the Chinese community is the cohesion and the way they work with each other and support each other. We have New Zealanders who don't have the benefit of that kind of support, because a country can only be as good as its families and its communities. So when we get groups like the Chinese community who have strong families, strong focus on business, then that's helping New Zealand. But I just see in the newspaper this morning, in Auckland, over 20% of people identify as Asian.
Wow.
So this is the face of the future for Auckland and for New Zealand. And it's, as you say, bringing all sorts of cultural richness, business success, and connections with China, but also with Chinese and other parts of the world. And that's helping to underpin the growth of our economy.
Apart from all the businesses and the government contribution, I think that different Chinese communities, different ethnic groups are also doing the contributions. For example, Chao Shan General Association of New Zealand is currently applying for the 20th Tu Chao International Convention, which is going to be hosted in 2019 in Auckland. Speaking of these kind of events, what new opportunities do you think it will bring to New Zealand?
Well, it's bringing many tourists and visitors. If that association is able to win the bid, then that would be great. It would bring a whole lot more people here who haven't been here. I think I've done a video for them to help promote. So that's what we need to do here in New Zealand is to make sure we invest in the roads and the transport and the tourist facilities that are going to allow us to accommodate the strong interest.
From what I have heard from the gala lunch yesterday, it's a very small incident that Premier Lee was once stuck in the elevator of the Beehive. What happened and why? What exactly happened there?
Well, this is in 2009.
Yes.
So when I had invited him here, I was Deputy Prime Minister.
And he was Vice Premier as well.
He was Vice Premier, and we were on the way to our important bilateral meeting. Was very formal. And the New Zealand side had all shown up, and we were sitting at the table and we were waiting for him. And the Chinese, we find that senior Chinese politicians are never late. And it turned out that the lift in the Beehive wasn't working, and he got stuck in the lift
for how long?
I think it was 15 or 20 minutes.
That's
quite a long time.
You must be there thinking, have I stood up by them?
Yeah, that's right. When we met again in Beijing in 2012, I can recall us sitting at a lunch in the Great Hall of the People, having a good laugh about the incident as we did yesterday.
As you have mentioned, you and Premier Lee met quite a few times when he visited New Zealand in 2009 and when you were visiting China back in 2012. And this time you've been hanging out with him for 4 days and you've invited him to your house for a dinner. And so I'm just wondering, how would you describe him as an old friend? Because I did read about him that he is named as the 12th most powerful person in the world by Forbes. So you as an old friend, how would you describe him?
Well, it is, I agree with that. Well, look, we get on well. He's an open, affable person. He's also got the strength of the leader, and we see that. I find I'm able to talk to him about any issue related to China, and he responds very openly. He and his wife, Madam Chong, came and we had dinner together, and he invited two of our sons to come along. It was a family dinner, very personable, and he spoke directly with my sons, which was great for them to have that experience.
You know, food does play a huge part in Chinese culture, and I think both in Kiwi cultures. When you invited him to your house, how did you decide on the menu?
Well, I had some special assistance from experts for that, but it was sort of Chinese style, so we had 4 or 5 courses, beef and venison and crayfish and oysters, New Zealand delicacies, but all presented in a Chinese kind of way. And I hadn't seen our food presented that way before, so it was very enjoyable.
When you first became Prime Minister, what surprised you the most?
Oh, just how much I enjoyed the job.
You enjoyed the job?
It's completely different from I'd been the Finance Minister and the Deputy Prime Minister, but this job is quite different, more different than I thought, but I'm enjoying it so much. I'm enjoying all the interaction with the public, which as a Finance Minister, you're often in the office out the back, looking through all the papers, doing all the numbers. But I have this amazing range of experiences just every day, every couple of days. I get to see all sorts of people in all sorts of situations. It's great.
Because I remembered when former Prime Minister resigned, one of the main reasons is that he wanted to be with his family and spend more time with them. And you as Prime Minister now, like, when you wake up in the morning, our problems become your problems too. So how do you compart and categorize and just manage your work and your personal life as a father and a husband?
Well, it's a bit more challenging as a Prime Minister. And so you just have to, you can't be Prime Minister 24 hours of the day, or you wouldn't. So I make sure that I go home for dinner when I'm in Wellington, so I can spend time with my family there. Try and do on Sundays, have some spare time for my family.
Are you allowed to have spare time? Are you allowed to have personal time?
I can sneak some in here and there without them noticing. But it's important you do, because if you need to get enough sleep and be happy with how your family is, so that you can do the job properly in public.
And thank you for today, and thank you for coming, and we are so happy for you to be here, and I wish all the best for the strong relationship between China and New Zealand. Thank you very much.